Here we are once again, this time for part 3 of 1.0 Digital Defenders. So in this section, we are going to talk about certifications and education that's needed for careers in cybersecurity. So with that said, I wanted this course to give you the opportunity to prepare for your very first cybersecurity certification. And we're going to do that through the ISC2 certification series. As you can see at the time of this recording, they're very entry. I want to be clear, this is a very entry-level certification that is comprised of a 2-hour exam, 100 different questions that you take in order to pass the certification. Right now, there's some free training on the ISC2 site that you can take for this certification. Normally, the certification is $199. So what I want to stress, though, is this is not a boot camp lecture series, okay? We're not just preparing, I am not just preparing you for this entry-level certification. We're going to look at things, we're going to do some labs along the way. It's not going to be about just what you know, but also skills, learning some basic skills along the way. We're going to do that through Kali Linux and learning the Kali Linux operating system as we connect Kali Linux with what we're learning in this lecture series. So with that said, I'm going to take just a few minutes to introduce some key concepts as it pertains to this certification and frankly cybersecurity as a whole. And the first is the ISC2 Code of Ethics. When we talk about cybersecurity, we are talking about ethics. We're talking about your personal morals, etc., right? What drives you to be in this field? We'll talk more about that here in just a few minutes. But the ISC2 has its own code of ethics. Most of these certification bodies have code of ethics that you need to follow in order to be certified, in order to retain your certification, and, you know, in some cases, increase the level in which you're certified. So the code, or ISC2's code of ethics, okay, is basically here. I'd encourage you to pause and read this. I'm not going to read this verbatim, okay? But it details what needs to be done, and basically it's summarized in the preamble. It emphasizes the importance of information security professionals adhering to high ethical standards to protect society, public trust, and infrastructure, right? So maintaining the code and the 4 canons, which we'll look at in just a minute, is how you retain your certification. Now, you know, sometimes people, you know, break these things. There was a recent news story about a disgruntled IT professional who deleted a company's servers and all of their data, right? And we definitely do not want to do things like that. We don't want to use the hacking skills, no matter what level of cybersecurity or what, you know, career of cybersecurity you go into. Keep in mind, we are learning a lot of the skills, if not all of the skills, that black hats use to hack in illegally. We need to understand those skills, those techniques, everything that they may do so that we ethically can defend against it. Okay, so the 4 canons are as follows, and I am going to read these verbatim. I think it's really important. Protect society, the common good, and critical infrastructure. This means prioritizing public safety and well-being in security decisions. Always thinking about the public first, right? Not just our company, not just an individual, but the public as a whole. We need to act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally. This involves, you know, behaving ethically and following the law. So although you may be a person that will go 10 miles over the speed limit, when it comes to your career, ethics is key. Following the law is key. And as we'll find out in this series, knowing the law, knowing the data breach laws, the federal and state laws as it pertains to cybersecurity and incident reporting, that you will need to follow along the way. Okay. The third is to provide diligent and competent service to clients. Competent, getting that education, earning those certifications, etc. This means upholding professional standards and delivering skilled services to employers or clients. Finally, advance and protect the profession. This includes promoting the profession's reputation, supporting professional development, and maintaining confidence. And as we're going to talk about, in cybersecurity, things change so quickly. It was just in November of 2022 that ChatGPT got released to the public, released to the world, and AI became the next thing. And it is implemented already into security solutions, as well as we're seeing it implemented by threat actors in, gaining access to systems. So next we'll look at careers in cybersecurity. And let me assure you, there are vast careers in cybersecurity. Keys to being in cybersecurity, though, is education. A gentleman who I love his book entitled The Smartest Person in the Room, Christian Espinoza, talks about in that book, and I highly recommend you read it, The Smartest Person in the Room by Christian Espinoza, why we are losing the cybersecurity war. And it really comes down to the professionalism, the soft skills, professional skills, we'll look at those in just a minute, of cybersecurity professionals, right? We are creating a lot of paper tigers. Those are people who can pass these certifications but don't have the skills. They have the knowledge, but they don't have the skills to do the work and defend the systems against those threat actors. So, the landscape of cybersecurity employment is greatly influenced by the prevalence and advancement of cybercrime, right? The more hackers there are, the more we have to defend against. And of course, when we look at some of the key aspects of cybercrime today, it is organized crime. It's those organized crime places that, used to and may still, deal in illegal activities, illegal drugs, all that good stuff. But now here's this idea of ransomware where we can take over a network, we can encrypt their data and hold it ransom for millions of dollars. So employment demand, as of recent reports, there are still 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity positions globally. And this number is expected to remain through 2025. You've got companies like Google and Microsoft doing their part, finding ways to educate. Google has a cybersecurity certificate program that you can take through Coursera as an example. And still, with all of us doing all of this work, it's not enough. In the U.S. alone, the cybersecurity workforce has more than 950,000 workers, with around 465,000 positions yet to be filled. And we'll take a look at this in just a minute. So, what is cybersecurity as a career? Well, you're essentially the guardian of a digital world. You're the guardians of a digital world. Cybersecurity professionals safeguard online data against ever-evolving threats. As our lives weave deeper into the web, deeper into our phones, deeper into data, we have to secure that personal information. It becomes critical that we do so, right? So how do we crack the code on cybercrime? Well, protect sensitive data. For giants like banks, governments, we're seeing municipalities, we're seeing cities, we're seeing counties get hit by states, get hit by ransomware, and all that personal data. Here in Oregon, where I'm from, the DMV got hacked, and millions of personal information was released due to a software vulnerability and some software that transferred data back and forth. So kind of interesting. So dive into this dynamic field, where you can build digital fortresses, navigate intricate networks, and be the first line of defense against these ever-evolving threats, right? You need to be a problem solver, a strategist, and a guardian to the online world. So here's an example from February 16th, 2024 of job openings in the United States by state. So you've got this color-coded table here. You can see, like, for example, in Oregon, there's about 5,000 jobs. Highly populated areas, New York, California, Texas, 19 to 58,000 jobs available. So there are a ton of cybersecurity jobs. Now, when we talk about cybersecurity, as you'll see, we're talking about a vast array. And pretty much today, any job that is in information technology, that deals with technology, that deals with computing, that deals with data, the cloud, wherever it's stored, everyone needs to be a cybersecurity professional. So even though you may not be going directly into cybersecurity, this course is important if you're going into programming, becoming a computer scientist, a web developer, etc. You don't want your client's website being hacked because you didn't understand the basic security principles or the importance of cybersecurity. So here's Christian Espinosa, again, notes that financial incentives alone are not enough. As we're going to see in just a minute, there is great salaries. Why? It's the typical economic structure. Demand is high. You saw that there's many jobs unfilled. Well, when demand is high and supply is low, costs go up. And in this case, salary costs are very high in cybersecurity. However, financial incentives aren't enough to inspire individuals to become digital defenders, or part of the solution in the chosen field. And the reason for that is many different reasons. A lot of people get into this because of the money, but they don't have the passion. They don't have the soft skills. They don't know their why. Now, this gets a little bit abstract here, but your why is what's going to determine why you get into a field. You may change careers out of a field because of your why. So this involves identifying what drives you, including your personal interests and values, what plays a key role in sustaining your passion and commitment to your career. So let me give you an example. I'm an educator. Prior to education, I was an IT executive. I had my own IT consulting company. I ended up in education, and I found my why. Giving back and teaching others what I know from my experience in information technology and cybersecurity is what's rewarding to me. Standing in front of a classroom, making videos like this, it's what gets me up each day, and I get to also teach a topic that I am highly passionate about. I will read 12 to 15 books a year on cybersecurity. A lot of it is audiobooks that I listen to. I would say I consume at least 1 to 2 articles a day on cybersecurity, on hacks, on ransomware, whatever the case may be. Why? Because I'm passionate about it, and because basically it's sort of like cops and robbers without all the, the physical risk, if you will. So the process of finding your why is unique to each person and cannot be simplified in a single exercise. I try to encourage my students to think past the salary. Why do they want to go to work? As a cybersecurity professional or IT professional, I went to work each day because every day was a challenge. Every day was the opportunity to leverage technology to improve the business, right? Either increase efficiency, provide more information from data we were storing, whatever the case may be, and always to solve the next challenge of the network being down, a computer not working, a server not working, an attacker getting into the network and getting them out, right? So while money can be a factor, it's rarely a sustainable motivator, and I want to be clear on that, okay? As much as there is a demand, there's also an exodus going on, and that is people who got into this who really didn't think about their why, didn't think about the requirements of the job, the stress of the job, other things we'll talk about here in just a minute, are now looking to get out of cybersecurity and do something else. So it's really important that you understand your why, and you can go out to YouTube. There's some great books on defining your why, figuring out why you would look at a career in cybersecurity. So real quickly, not only is it important to have the technical skills and the knowledge of cyber and everything that encompasses that, networks and protocols and firewalls and ACLs and XYZs and PDQs, we'll get to all that. We love our 3-letter acronyms, but employability skills are also very, very important. And we're going to pause right here. I'll see you in part 4. We'll talk about these employability skills and continue on with our Chapter 1 lecture. Take care.